right, welcome everybody. Good to see you on this team meeting on the 22nd of December. Welcome everybody. We have at least two presentations for you today from the teams from Votrack, but first from Zero to AI, and I am personally very much looking forward what they have to offer. So Subir, can you tell us anything about it?
I'll let Parag drive this. Parag.
Sure. Thanks a bit. Today, we've been working on a milestone where basically we kind of, provide an automation around ingesting the services that currently exist on the SNet marketplace, and then automatically kind of, populate them on the Zero to AI platform, which runs on the mobile phone, and you can kind of, consume those and make them, much more accessible. So again, today this is work in progress. So we're going to show you, some of the services that appear on the Zero to AI platform, and how do you kind of like, access them, interact with them, and so forth. And then if time permits, we can kind of just give you kind of little, what's happening behind the scenes. So looking forward to feedback on this. I'm going to turn over to Chiranjeev, who will present the demonstration around this. Thank you.
Cool. Looking forward to that. And yeah, take your time. We don't have 10 presentations, so you have some time.
Okay. Yeah, Chiranjeev, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
So yeah, as Parag mentioned, what we tried here is to surface SNet services on Zero to AI app, and we classified it as SNet service. So we can do a quick search, and it will list all the services that are under SNet. And yeah, I guess so we can select any one of them and try it out. So for now, we curated two services, or rather, we enabled two services. So I'll select one of those. Which one is semantic segmentation. So it will take us to the screen, and I can click on try now. Which will prepare the app, the service, so that I can interact with the SNet service. So give it a minute or two. It should prepare the interface to interact with semantic segmentation. Okay. So yeah, as you can see. So it is showing inputs that were defined by the semantic service, semantic segmentation service. So I'm going to just select an image, click on the visualize, and hit submit. So right now we are using free token to speed up the response time, and you can see it does work properly, and on top of this, we can now share this with other people. Just generate a shareable link, or we can edit and push it to OpenSea. That's pretty much it. Any questions, Parag, if I missed something?
No. So, yeah, I mean, again, want to emphasize that, this is a work in progress, But as you can see that, this whole process of, kind of extracting information that, all the services that exist on the SNet marketplace has been captured, translated, and now they are running on the Zero TI platform, which allows now anybody having a mobile phone to be able to go try it, provide feedback, sort of personalize it. You can kind of give it your own name, give it some color scheme for the app, share it with family and friends, as well as the output that you generate. You can very easily share it on a social media platform. So this kind of enables the interaction, collaboration, and so forth. And the last thing that Chiranjeev mentioned is that you can, also publish this, actual running app on the NFT marketplace on the OpenSeas today, where one can go look at it, not just as a pretty picture of the app, but actually a running app that by clicking on it, you can, interact with it and provide, like, dislikes, comments, and so on and so forth. So it kind of opens up the accessibility aspect, And as we go forward, we're going to be kind of, auto testing them, auto ranking them, collecting all this feedback on the blockchain to, kind of keep the trust in the, the app of, how well it works. It works for, for certain images, doesn't work for well, so the developers can go and improve and, continuous improvement on that aspect.
And Parag, if I may, right? So the
Yes.
mechanism in the back end is as follows, right? So we are doing all of this programmatically. So we collect all the metadata that exists from on the SingularityNET marketplace. There are 80 plus services. We fetch them automatically. We put them in the right structure, and we run this sort of incremental process where we take, all the metadata, all the sort of the protobuf files, etc. We generate an intermediate representation, which is JSON, from which we actually create code on the fly, both the front end code, which involves radio, the back end code, which is Python wrapped, and calling the gRPC client side code, right? Creating Docker images for them to be runnable and to be a first class citizen of the Zero TI network. All of those things are done incrementally and programmatically. And the nice thing is, at steady state, what's going to happen is, if new applications show up, new services show up on SingularityNET, they will also automatically show up on the Zero TI network.
Wow, that is really the cool part. Yeah, I think this is a good illustration of the way we see our platform as a decentralized thing. So we have our marketplace and we have our platform. But anybody can build on the platform. You could also build your own marketplace on the platform if you would like to. And so this is actually a very interesting and early use case for the services on our platform. And it also feeds into a little bit into our ideas of having a kind of reputation system on services on our platform. So you're already getting ahead of us there by doing it on a blockchain. What is still a little bit abstract for me is exactly what will show up on OpenSea, especially. Yeah.
Great question. It should not be abstract. Chiranjeev, can we show something on OpenSea? What the OpenSea experience looks like. This is in context, so I think it will help people sort of, consolidate all these ideas in one place.
Yes, and for instance, also what would happen if the output is textual, for instance, or would be even more technical. And you talked about the interaction on OpenSea. So that
agreed. There's a bunch of things. Chiranjeev, wanna take them like one by one?
Sure. So should I go with the OpenSea publish? activity first?
Yeah, you could just show the process. Just you show something that's already published, what the experience looks like. And then the second
Okay.
question that Jan had was, this is an image, right? What about a text or something else? What is the input output look like there? Right?
Okay. Okay. I hope I'm accessing a newer version. Okay, so yeah, this is the OpenSea page where we host all the NFTs that were published from Zero to AI app, and this just gives a small or rather a screenshot of how the UI or what the user has created. The user's creation, maybe some background for how the user has personalized the app, and then there will be okay. So as you see, there was a link which will then redirect user to the Zero to AI apps, where this app will be redeployed and user can now play with that.
Okay, that makes sense. So the interaction doesn't happen on OpenSea, but if you click on the created image, then you are redirected to the app, and there you can create some additional things and have the real experience.
Right. Right. Also, right, this is a frozen version of the app, right? The once the artifact is created, right, the Docker image is created, that's this version of the app that's sort of frozen and tied to the NFT, right, forever and ever.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. I think this has huge potential, and already seeing that overview of services on your app and that being dynamic and updated, and I think this is a great extra front end and potential to reach out to new customer groups and make ourselves known. So I'm really, really, really glad with this initiative, and I expect great things from it.
Thank you. Right. So hopefully we will open up sort of. You obviously have your own marketplace now. Everybody with a smartphone can play with it, interact with it, and provide feedback, right? So we did talk about the feedback, and I think it ties in with the reputation things too, right? So I know you guys are building stuff, but I think what we are doing, we are recording all these things in the ceramic blockchain, the user interaction, and I think we can feed into your reputation, right? Maybe you will be the front end for the reputation. We'll give you data for sort of computing the reputation, if you will.
Oh yeah, reputation can consist of many dimensions, right? Many attributes.
Correct.
And this could be one of them. Correct. Definitely.
We have users, and users have DIDs. Apps have DIDs. We have done some exercise in that respect. I think we can sort of tie those things together.
Yeah, and I'm impressed that you're already taking that so seriously, that you are actually registering all those interactions on the ceramic blockchain already, which is amendable.
Chiranjeev, also the text app, please.
Okay.
I didn't dare to ask for another one. I wasn't sure what is and is not available.
No, we do have a text one. Okay.
So Jan, right? So even outside of SNet, right, we have our sort of own services that we surface up, Hugging Face and Open Bino, right, and some custom ones. So these are all additive, right? Everything from SNet also gets added to the list of things.
Yeah. So what I'm wondering now, I think I asked this question before. Or let us first look at this. Let's first look at this. At Jianjit.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the text to text, which summarizes block of text. So I'll just copy a text from a site. This is site related to Star Wars word. So
yeah, and now it's actually making an API call to a service that is on our platform, right?
yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. I hope this app, when it's finished, will be downloaded so often and used so often. Will be very good.
Yeah, that's the goal, Jan. So again, the power is that, the automation behind, right? Tomorrow, the 10 services show up on the SNet. The next day, they will show up on the Zero to AI platform. And, being on the mobile, naturally, makes it, much more accessible to wider community.
Yeah. I have one question. Every service on our platform has currently 15 free API calls. But after that, you have to call. And those services are from different organizations. So yeah, in a worst case scenario, you would have to create an escrow for each of these organizations. So how are you doing this or planning to do that in the future?
Great question, right? So each organization will have its own sort of payment channel, etc., etc. I think for now we are planning to sort of use our part of our grant, right? Fund these things, because I think people need to. I think 15 may not be enough. People may need to play with it longer. So those things we will, I think, work out over time, right? And maybe there'll be sort of a layaway plan. People can sort of escrow things. So we will see how that goes, right? Once there's excitement, then I think we can probably figure out how to sort of, make sure people are paying for these things, right? And the payment will be sort of mediated through Zero to AI, right? Zero to AI will collect payment, maybe not necessarily only through blockchain mechanisms, through fiat, and then translate and things like that. So
yeah. So first of all, this is a perfect way to use the 25% that is reserved for API calls. Really perfect. So that is what it's meant for.
Right. Yeah.
I can also imagine that you can create some deals with the creators of those services, saying, yeah, we create a perfect shopping window for you. How do you call it? So maybe we, as Zero to AI, we would like to have some more calls for free, and then make an agreement that every user in your app will not have more than X amounts. Because I imagine that whether I am on the app or somebody else is on the app, that for the API call on the platform, it's all the same user. Correct? I'm afraid your sound is really bad here. Or who? Parag?
Sorry, Parag, can you take over?
Jan, could you please repeat that?
Yes. So I imagine that that your app making an API call to a certain service, then the service would recognize the endpoint, the app as an endpoint, and the app would be somehow registered to create that call. But whether I am in the app or somebody else is in the app pushing the buttons is probably not visible on the marketplace. So that would mean that not every individual user could consume an additional 15 or whatever free amount of calls.
Correct. Yeah. So I think we still need to work out a lot on the kind of payment side of things, but our initial focus has been more around get more hands on it, like put it out there where anybody wants to play with things, the accessibility is there. So there are, work remains to be done on how we simplify things on the payment side, because even we noticed that when, here we are giving you demo with this free token aspects of it. When you do a payment, go through the payment channel, it actually adds to the, kind of even time it takes, for it to kind of, come back and render and things like that. So there are areas that we need to kind of iron out and work on it. But the goal would be we need to make this thing, very simple and easy, for users.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with this approach. And I think what you're showing is wonderful. I'm just thinking about these things in the back end. But yeah, let's discuss how we can solve that, and maybe also on our side we can help you with thinking about a proper solution.
Yes.
What I'm thinking, one direction would be that we would somehow propagate these 15 or whatever any service provider will configure there. These free services would propagate that to each of your users, but that would require a little bit of different enhanced integration, I would say, and a certain amount of trust, which I don't see as a problem. But that would be one direction. For now, indeed, by all means, you can use the 25% tokens for this. That is not the part that is not used on hosting. And yeah, I can also imagine agreements with individual service providers. But that might also, if there are more and more service providers, that would also might require some automation at some point.
Correct. And there may be down the line, there may be tiered up services, right? The apps, certain apps are, free all the time. And then there are some advanced features or app that can be, could be charges and things along that line.
Yeah, so I can imagine. So that's what I'm thinking about. Indeed, we could say that your app is free, but on the condition that each of your users would get no more than X amount tries, to avoid that it's a loophole to create unlimited free API.
Correct. Absolutely right.
All right, interesting stuff. But a very, very interesting and helpful development.
No, thank you. I mean, again, as I want to emphasize, this will continue to improve and get better, but I think this whole notion of, being automated is the key. Even the UI aspect is completely automated, right? It's kind of attached on the fly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it also shows a good, how do you call it? Damn it. The UI of different apps are somewhat similar. I can't think of the word right now, sorry. But that's a good thing. So people know what to expect and it's easy to handle.
Correct. It's always in, 2-3 ways, yeah. And then this also will enable a lot more developers, right? Not every team has expertise on all areas. So people with the ML expertise, they focus on, building their models and let the platform do the rest. Right? That brings, huge, kind of power of, them being able to, give that usability aspects without having to worry about it.
Yeah. Maybe you can stop screen sharing now if you want. Sure.
Thank you, Chiranjeev.
I'm not sure whether we should go into this parak, but I'd like to mention that we also had discussions on doing this the other way around and using the app as an on-ramp for the platform and making the onboarding process easier for developers. And of course, there will be a while, and there will be complexities, and maybe we need to sort out do some kind of feasibility study also there. But yeah, the idea behind it and the concept behind it is already fantastic. And yeah, if I think if we could make that work somehow, that would be a huge asset and an added value to our platform for sure.
Yes, absolutely. No, we are excited about it, and we are very confident, Jan. We can make this happen. We have to go through, some small, POCs as it goes with everything. But I think the potential is tremendous there.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for this presentation, and I'm very glad to have you on the team, and looking forward to see what will come out of this. I think this is just the start.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay. Kenrick from Votrek, you mentioned you also had something. Oh, by the way, does anybody else have some questions to Parag or Subir about this app? If not, then we'll just continue with Kenrick presentation.
Great. Yeah, well, nice to be able to join you all. So Votrek is getting close to launching its first service, which will be a risk profile assessment of machine learning outcomes. And we've thus far submitted 3 reports that focused kind of on the development of the tool itself. And we were progressing with the integration, but having challenges with it. We brought a new team member, Blake Anderton, who's digging into the integration issues. And then once we're through with that, he's also going to do some work on improving our models for our second project. But I thought I'd take today to kind of introduce an interesting example of use of the risk profile. Here, what we've done is we did some analysis of the US House elections, and I presented this at the Cardano Summit in Washington, DC. So today I'm just going to show one slide from that work and how that will be one of our services. So let me share the screen here. So on the left, you can see a diagram of the final forecast that was given by a team called 538, which does pretty rigorous statistical analysis. And they were projecting that the Republicans would win 230 House seats. That's their mean here. But they also had a wide distribution. And so within the 80% range, that included the possibility of Democrats winning and Republicans having what was referred to as a red wave, where they would win a lot of seats. However, the news media kind of picked up on this, and just prior to the election, there was this big anticipation of a red wave of Republican wins. And then when the win by the Republicans was much narrower, and even as seats were being counted, the possibility of the Democrats still winning, there was this then sort of counteractive narrative that the forecasts had been very bad. However, I think what actually happens in these situations is that people who are trying to interpret the forecast don't clearly explain or understand the uncertainty. And so one of the things we contribute here is to actually measure how the forecaster did in not just forecasting wins and losses, which would be a classification percentage. So for instance, in this case, in the end, the classification performance was 96.3% correct. It's actually pretty good. But even more so than that, what we want to do is do analysis on how good they were at assigning probabilities to that win. So for each seat, they assigned a probability that someone would win. And on this chart on the right here, we show the actual ratio of outcome probabilities. I'll come back to what that means in a moment. And then on the x-axis here, we show the forecasted probabilities. Now, what we're doing is we're creating bins of approximately 15 of these house seats into a bin and assigning an average forecast for each of those bins. And then within that bin, we're calculating the ratio of the actual outcome of the net, those that won versus the total. So that gives us a way of comparing the outcome versus the forecast on the probabilities. And an ideal forecast, everything would line up along this dashed line here. And you can see for the most part, with the exception of 2 bins, that's all very close. And so overall, 538 team assigned a probability of 85% to each of the winners. And so that says 2 things. One, this is actually, it's a much harder thing to do than the classification. And this is actually quite good performance. But even within this very good performance, what people are missing is that there is uncertainty there. So for instance, this 85% kind of maps out to where what they were predicting here, that there was a 84% chance that the Republicans would win the House 5 out of 6 times, whereas there was a 16% chance that the Democrats would win 1 out of 6 times. So we'll be offering this assessment tool as a service, and we're looking forward to applying this to other applications. And in fact, one very first application will be our own second project, where we're developing a machine learning algorithm that incorporates models of risk into how you train the algorithm. Now, one thing here, for this presentation, to keep it simple, I only included our accuracy measurement, but we also include in this analysis a measurement of decisiveness, which is similar to the classification performance, and a measurement of robustness, which kind of does a measurement of how you did in cases where your performance was not good, like these outliers here. So we're looking forward to launching this soon, and look forward to some feedback from the community about its utility. And I will, well, I guess I'll keep sharing for a moment if there's any questions about the application that I'm showing here. And then we can chat about this and other potential applications.
That's very cool that you were able to apply this already to such a concrete and high interest case. Mm-hmm. Basically, your finding was that the forecasts were well done, but maybe not entirely well communicated. Mm-hmm. I think that will always be a challenge to get a nuanced message out. But it's interesting to see that it's applicable and that it lines up so well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and we're also going to be applying this to our work on learning models of images and looking at the robustness of those models, Sharon. So yeah, and we're working through the integration issues. The integration has been challenging for us. But SingularityNET has also been providing good support. We had a nice call with them this morning, so we're hoping that finding this very soon.
Yeah, so we are using all that feedback to improve our onboarding process. There are a number of initiatives going on. There are also other priorities at the moment in the background happening, so we can't always do things as fast as we want, but it is very helpful to get feedback from not only you, but also other deep funding teams that are thinking or working on onboarding their services. Of course, we have Zero to AI who might be able to help us with their service. And there are also other things that we're looking at, even to something simple as improving the navigation and the documentation a little bit to make the whole process easier to understand. So there are things we can improve, definitely. Some things will be complex and but far-reaching, and some will be low-hanging fruit, as they call it, which might actually also already have an impact. So I hope that, and I'm certain that one effect of deep funding will actually also be that it will help us improve our tools due to this direct communication around it. And it's not all done in a day. But it has our attention, and more than that, we are working on it. So we expect to see some progress there in the first quarter or 2 quarters of the next year. All right, thanks a lot, Kenrick. Anybody else has some questions or remarks here? All right, then, Robert, you had a very nice presentation last time. I'm not sure, so I assume that there's nothing new yet. Quincy, maybe you almost always have something to say and to present, so it would be fine if there's nothing right now, but...
I've got a video, but that's fine.
All right. Then thanks, Kenrick and Parag, Subir, and Chiranjit for your contributions. And with that, we'll stop with the recorded part of this meeting.